And the thing that I want to get at, and the reason why I feel like this is just not a great movie in general, is that our main characters are always supposed to have some sort of emotional, mental, physical journey that leads them to them changing as a person and being either better or worse, depending on what the story asks for.
Yeah.
And Eloise is our main character. And she has absolutely no character growth. She borrows all of her actions, all for us to get to the conclusion that Sandy should be our main character, and also does not have any real change of heart resolution to her story because she just dies.
Yeah. In a fire.
Yeah. So our main character was unnecessary, and our secondary main character
is the villain.
Is the villain, which is
a villain,
which is not a bad idea. It's just not executed well, and also she's mostly justified in my opinion.
No, yeah, I really don't like the idea of setting up a sexual abuse victim as a villain. Or villainous.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I just, that doesn't sound right to me either.
It missed the mark.
Like? You know what that feels like? That feels like there was a story I heard of a girl who was kidnapped and sexually abused, sex trafficked, and then she killed her abuser, and then she went to prison for it.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like justice. That doesn't feel right.
No.
And that's the same feeling I think I got at the end of this. And that to me is the biggest, like I said, to me, that's the biggest faux pas of the movie. And that's a little bit of French for you, I think.
Yeah.
Faux pas. And, we're multicultural here. And
our third member of the podcast brings up a good point as well, that all of that happened. Eloise was awkward and unsure of herself and not sure how to get anywhere with herself, borrowed a personality that she then learned was not what she actually wanted to be, and was very trauma heavy and based, almost stabbed a student in her crazed whatever was going on, and then ended up being very popular, allowed to be in the school, and was making like nice clothes for a fashion show.
Yeah.
And John wanted to be with her still.
Yeah.
All at the end of it. And for what? The growth wasn't warranted.
Well, yeah, I would argue that, like, because you said sometimes the characters end up better or worse.
Yeah.
I would argue she ended up worse because now she's got more trauma to deal with. It's one of those things like, how do you know that you're gonna respond a certain way until you experience it? Like, and what I mean by that is her going to the city and like trying to fulfill her dream. Like that, okay, I mean, why would you tell somebody not to do that?
What warrants the happy ending?
Well, yeah, that's the thing is there a happy ending? I don't even know. Like, she just goes back.
She got what she wanted. She didn't get kicked out of school. She's still in the city.
Sheesh, but now she's got to deal with
dead.
She's got to deal with mental issues and almost.
She had to deal with the mental issues at the beginning.
Well, I would say that she's a lot more heavily traumatized afterwards.
Yeah, but we don't see that.
Yeah, we don't see it, but we know it's there. Like most, like most trauma.
I feel like you're injecting purpose into the story that isn't there.
I am just taking what I see and explaining it with my logic and my mouth. And so I would say I'm not saying that she had a successful or a good character journey, but I do think that physically she ended up in the same place at her grandma's house in the country, not fulfilling her dream, having to recover from trauma. So it's basically the same spot.
Yeah.
Because her whole childhood she was living, trying to get through the trauma of experiencing her own seeing ghosts or whatever it is, because they don't really explain it, and then her mom obviously being schizophrenic and dying from it. Mm-hmm. So that's her trauma. Now she's going back to grandma, back to the country to deal with this new drama that she has, this new trauma that she has. And that's all I'm saying is that, like, now it's not just her trauma anymore. It's now her and Sandy's trauma that she's lived and experienced. Mm-hmm. So my argument is that she's worse off now.
Yeah.
Even though she's you could argue she's still in the same spot. So I guess you would say she didn't really have any character growth. I'm saying that that's true, but also she's just a little bit worse off than she was before.
So I'm going to truncate. Whatever you said for everybody at home.
Okay.
It's not that she didn't have a character growth story. It's that the story didn't exist. She started in one place and ended in the exact same place.
Yeah.
So what's the point of having the story?
It is. I mean, okay. So
what we learned from this is schizophrenia bad.
So I guess this was the episode that I'm contrarian. So I would argue that, to be honest with you, that you could still draw parallels to real life in the sense that there's a lot of times we do a lot of work and we end up in circles. We're just going in circles in life. Certain things, whether it's be remaking the same mistakes, or not really fixing our issue, but trying a different approach while not dealing with our issue, so that we end up at the same conclusion. So
then make that the purpose of the story.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't disagree with you.
Then make the purpose of the story about somebody who's trying their best to not fall for the same mistakes.
Man, you are just making me want to go back in time with the time stone and pretend I never put this as a suggestion.
Look, man,
I saw Jojo Rabbit and I recognized the girl and I'm like, she's also in this movie.
Well, it's fine, and it's good to talk about stories, and it's good to talk about different movies. And I love Edgar Wright. I think when he's in his zone, he's phenomenal. And this is not the zone. He's not a noir person. He's not a mystery thriller person. He's not a writing by himself person. It's a give him something good and fun to play with, and he plays with it. It's a beautiful movie.
Maybe Edgar Wright should have did Star Wars instead.
That would be crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think it would have been better than J.J. Abrams.
It would have been. Well, I don't think he should have been the executive producer for 3 Star Wars movies. Either of them.
J.J.?
Yeah, I don't think either of them should have done it. Let's take the guy who did Star Trek and make him do Star Wars. Good idea. Good idea,
it's
Disney.
The same thing.
Yeah.
It's in the space with the ships and the bad guys.
Idiots.
I don't know where that voice came from, guys. I don't know what that is.
No, that was good. It sounded It sounded like it.
Just
like Disney executive.
Okay,
that's what you sounded like.
That's the Disney executive voice from here on out. You're gonna hear it.
I really feel bad for this movie because it could have been really good. Could have been really fun if it had figured out where it wanted to go.
Can we talk about that a little bit, please?
Sure.
Can we for a few minutes?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. So here's what I think, and here's what I meant by saying I think there's a good movie in there. Mm-hmm. I really think that more time should have been put on showing some of the things that her mom went through and that she also dealt with early on, and gave us a real solid okay, is she crazy or does she actually have some connection to some supernatural things that maybe just give us a more firm foundation, and other than just casually mentioning it or alluding to it, that yes, it makes her crazy, because if you're the only person that sees dead people, then how do you tell that to somebody without sounding crazy? I mean, John does a pretty good job of it, just because he really just wants to be with her. And of course, guys will do crazy things for the women that they want to be with. So
that's the moral of the story. Find yourself a man who will do anything he needs to get you. That almost could not come out of my mouth. That was awful.
Yeah, that's almost as good advice as the Googling things on the internet on the family computer.
Google feminism. Mixed results.
This is not mixed results. We've come to a conclusion that maybe this is one of the episodes that you watch and you don't watch the movie,
which is crazy. It'd be like the second one.
So to get to the point, I think that there's a good movie.
Tell me how it could have been a good movie.
Make that more a part of the intro. Okay, she does have some kind of connection to the past, or she can see and experience, has empathy with.
Are you ready? Are you ready for how you could do that with this movie? Sandy is not the main character. Eloise's mom is what she's seeing.
Oh, really?
And then we got a cautionary tale between the dream world and the regular world about how she corrects the problems that her mom couldn't.
Yeah, you know what? Because there is some talk about her mom, them living in the city, right? Mm-hmm. In the past. And yeah, maybe she's experiencing...
And her mom being haunted by things that she's seeing.
And her mom's not a horrible person at the end of it.
Yeah.
Her mom is a victim of these supernatural powers that she has that she didn't ask for, that she had to deal with.
I don't know if I'd add any supernatural powers into this, to be honest.
Well, I mean, if that's the thing, what I'm trying to do is like take the story he has and just tweak some things to make it better. So if he's going to go that supernatural, I like that idea, that it being her mom, but just giving some more foundation on the fact that Eloise can see and experience and empathize with, ghosts or visions of the past, and can like experience those and live them. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing I would change in the beginning. I think that honestly, the whole cop, that was just a weird. No need for that.
I think it could be necessary.
You think so?
I do. I'm gonna let you finish how you would fix it up, and then I'll was gonna say, go for it.
What I was gonna say is, to me, established in the beginning and at the end, literally don't make Sandy the bad guy. Like literally, that lady is not Sandy.
Yeah,
Sandy died. She's not there, and literally, Eloise literally just helps her. Maybe her spirit
literally
come to, get justice for her and come to rest in a peaceful place, knowing that justice was served to whoever was involved, and Eloise was able to help her. And through that, Eloise is able to gain confidence. She's able to maybe become more, what's the word? So she's not naive anymore. Mm-hmm. She now has more discernment and judgment when it comes to seeing the good and bad people. Now that she's experienced fake friends like her roommate, who just has ulterior motives to compete with her. She's not really interested in being her friend. She just wants to be more than the person next to her. And to see people like John, who, yes, he does want to get to know her romantically, but genuinely is a nice guy. And, the lady that rented her the room could have been one of Sandy's friends, or maybe even maybe the lady renting the room out was somebody who knew Sandy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's not actually Sandy. Mm-hmm. And Eloise is able to help Sandy and her friend get some kind of resolution by, bringing some people to justice. And I don't know. That's, to me, those are the two main things. It's not a lot. And I haven't sat down and I would rewrite this movie this way. To me, give us more foundation on actually what she is experiencing and how. And then also, let's literally just not make Sandy the bad guy. To me, those two things, I think, would have made the movie much better. I don't know. You probably have a lot more changes, but you also have a movie maker's mindset more than I do. So please.
So a big problem that I see with this movie is that it does not have a good separation between the A story and the B story. The A story is about Eloise, and the B story is about Sandy.
Yeah.
I said,
unlike Ponyo, which was a C story.
Yes, thank you for that. I believe you said that joke in the Ponyo episode too.
I'm here to bring back the callbacks, buddy. Callbacks and the bits.
Is it a callback? Or is it reused? Those are leftovers.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke. So, I mean, I don't think it's super necessary to have the mom be the B story Sandy. And but it would make more sense, right? If we're going to,
it could be pretty prevalence to it. So I agree with you.
And generally, the way that stories work, most of the time, is that the A story and the B story are separate things. And the B story alludes to things that can happen in the A story and then end up resolving the A story at the end of it.
Yeah.
The A story here is Eloise trying to move off on her own and succeed where she wants to make a name for herself, or in the case of the rewrite, where her mom failed to make a name for herself.
I think to just live and have a life unlike her mother.
Well, I think the theme that it's trying to go for originally is reconciling the past. Reconciling and moving past the things that have happened.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. And if that's the case, then the motive for Eloise is to not just go and make a name for herself, go live her own life, but to succeed where her mom failed, if she's like her mom.
To have a full life because she died.
Sure, yeah. Live one day more, you know what they say. And if that's our A story...
It could be a negative, like, one-upmanship on her daughter's part. To have a competition with her mom.
It could, but we're trying to rewrite it to be good.
I'll show you, Mom. I will live.
So... if that's our A story, then our B story is what happened with Sandy. Yeah. And I think that the way that it worked out is fine. And the only thing that I would really change is to bring that cop, detective, whatever he was, into more prominence. I think what would give Sandy good faith to be like, hey, what I'm doing is justified, is if in talking to the cop or the officer and he was like, hey, you should get out of here, and she went, how do I do that? Help me do that. And he just brushes her off and goes, no, this is all on you. And then later finds out that she died from one of these men that she tried to murder or something.
Yeah.
Then that brings him into more prominence to be in Eloise's life, to be like, I recognize you. I recognize what you're doing. And him trying to reconcile the errors of his past while she's looking at him as if he was the problem in the first place. You know what I mean? And I think that's the only thing that would need to change, because then if the law doesn't help Sandy get out of her problem, she has to take matters into her own hands, which morally justifies her in her own position to take care of this. It would also lead to Sandy being haunted by these visions of these guys that she's murdered, which would obviously lead somebody down the path to wanting to off themselves, which is what we also are alluded to Eloise's mom doing. Which would tie all that into a nice, pretty bow and put everything here. What would make Eloise have an actual character progression is to take these visions of the past and use them as a cautionary tale as to what not to do. And so take what she was already doing, which is starting off with, hey, this is a really cool way to make a name for myself. I have to be confident. I have to be an entirely different person to do this. And start seeing in the visions of the past things that are happening to her currently, so that she can make her choice there, right? See what works, see what didn't, and only get pieces of it at a time. So she goes to this school and fails to set a good impression. Well, then she sees the vision of what a good impression looks like and how Sandy made a good impression. And then you go back and she goes, okay, I'm going to make a good impression. And then she gets another bit of Sandy's past, which is she gets led down this path by this one guy. And so she goes and leads down her own path and starts getting these bits and pieces and starts realizing the hole that she's digging herself into, so that she can then start grasping at the visions of the past to be like, okay, well, how do I get out of this? Because obviously Sandy gets out of this, right? And starts grasping at that, trying to do what she's doing, and then starting to realize that, oh no, Sandy actually went down the wrong path, and so Eloise tries to dig herself out of it. Which is where the detective would come back in and be like, no, I'm trying to help out, whatever, gets hit by a car, everything's awful. And then Eloise has to figure out from there how to not solve the past, but reconcile the mistakes she's made to better herself to not end up where Sandy is. To look at these, and to not be schizophrenic, just to almost like their memories of hearing what her mom did. Yeah. But she sees it as herself. You know? There's no reason someone needs to be schizophrenic, but also can see ghosts. That's kind of a weird precedent to sit. That's it's a very old, tired trope that disabled people actually have superpowers instead of being disabled or having a disability or having a mental illness. It's like, well, actually, your mental illness is a superpower. The anxiety that you have.
If only that were true, man, I would be flying in the skies.
Which is why it's a bad trope, you know? It's a bad trope to have because it's what's the word? It's desensitizing people to the actual problem.
Which is disabled people.
Yeah, which is people. Well, no, the problem isn't disabled people.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Somebody clip that one. No. The problem isn't disabled people. It's the trying to normalize something that people need help with rather than helping them. Yeah. It's the same stigma with like, oh, men don't need therapy. They just need to man up. You know, it's like you therapy. By getting help, by asking for help. Men don't cry. They do. They should. It's the same kind of like weird idea.
All at once.
Yeah, it's Women don't need jobs. They need to have a family. It's like, no, you like
if they want. Let them do what
they want. Yeah. Same thing. It's like you don't need to tell somebody with a disability, with a mental illness that they're just special. No, they like encourage them to be better and to get help and to do what they need. Anyways, long tangent aside, that's what I would do. Is it'd be a story about reconciling the past so that you can be better than it.
I think you are 100% right, and you are 100% right about this movie, and I take back every good thing I said about it. So you win, Michael.
Thanks for watching, Full-Time Movie Fans. We're ending this before you can take it back again.
No, I want to say one more thing though. I do want to say one more thing that I think we can both agree on, is that taking advantage of and abusing women is not okay. And
hot take.
Yeah, I mean, it should go without. It should go without saying. It should go without saying. But I think that's one thing that we can agree on. And again, I want to point out that I think it was extremely wrong to make Sandy also someone that the person that we're supposed to feel sorry for. And we have to also look at her in a bad light now.
Oh, we should.
I think that
if anything, I mean, like, do I feel like she was justified? Yes. Morally, killing is wrong. Absolutely. And there's no reason that she couldn't have that turmoil, you know, to be like, oh my God, what have I done? But like, what are my options? You know? Like that should have been how it was presented, not, and this lady killed people. Yeah. What do you think about that?
And she's willing to kill more innocent.
She should.
People. So
they're bad people. Kill them.
Eloise wasn't bad.
Well, no, Eloise wasn't.
And neither was
Which is why it was weird.
Yeah, that's why.
But she was justified in the other ones.
The other ones, for sure.
Especially if you add in the fact that the law wouldn't help. If the law wouldn't have helped, you know? Just, all in all, be better, do better.
Yeah, be better, do better. Don't watch this movie. Don't watch the next one we're going to talk about either, which we're going to get into. No, or maybe, I don't know.
It's a very emotional movie.
Maybe you would say give it a chance, but
I would. Yeah, a lot of emoting happening.
Yeah, very emotional movie. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's all we have to say on this one. There's some good stuff in there. It just needed to be worked out much more. And Edgar Wright, how dare you? Shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. You make good movies. We like most of your movies.
They're good. No, it's not a bad movie. It's just not a complete movie.
Yeah.
It's very pretty, very stylistic.
Very great way to put it. Just a little bit incomplete, kind of half-baked is too harsh, I want to say, but I would agree, incomplete.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, we'll probably do some more Edgar Wright movies in the future. So
whenever he makes
them. Stay tuned for that. Guys, I mean, whether you decide to watch Last Night in Soho or not, feel free to leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Like and subscribe.
Out of 10, Jarvis, what would you rate it?
Man, you know...
Before talking and now after talking.
I'm just going to give you the one after because what's the point? You're just going to reference back. Remember that one time when you thought that movie was
no, I think it's good for the audience to understand where you were before when we started.
I was pretty... I would say a little bit above middle of the road. I would have said 6, but after this, I'm probably at like a, maybe 3.5.
Wow. That's harsher than I was going to say. I was going to say like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3.5 out of out of
a 5 out of 10 for a half-baked movie.
3 out of 5 out of 10 crazy visions of the past.
Wild, lambastic visions of the past.
So, yeah, all right, let's call it. That's the episode. Guys,
if you out there, you're watching movies, you should be, and you should also be subscribed to this channel if you're not already. And if you are, steal your friend's phone, subscribe them as well. Yeah. Because if they like movies, then they'll like us because we like movies. That's how the logic checks out.
For their birthday or Christmas, that could be your Christmas or birthday gift to them, is by subscribing them to the channel. And for everyone involved, and to everyone who is watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, or not even, we wish you all
the best.
Yeah, we hope
that's your day some is, YouTubers out.
We hope your day is everything you dreamed it'd be and more. Both of us want that for you.
He doesn't speak for me.
Bye.
Hey, you look good over there.
Look real good.
We thought about sharing your kindness with others.
Share the love.
Maybe like the video. Click on that subscribe button. And show your friends.
Yeah, just touch it ever so lightly, that like button. Move over to the subscribe button. Maybe tap your keyboard just a little bit. Leave a comment. Bye.
That's it.